Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today on LCA Cosplay. Today I'll actually be doing a tutorial to show you how to do the makeup for Tifa Lockhart in the Final Fantasy VII Remake. So first thing I did is I'm going to actually prep my skin, and I'm actually going to be using Garnier Skincare Active Water Rose 24-Hour Moisturizing Gel. This is just to kind of help moisturize my skin so that way I have a good base for putting my makeup on. And then I'm also going to be using e.l.f.'s Tone Adjusting Face Primer. The green actually helps kind of tone down some of the red in my face that I get just because I'm always out in the sun. And so that's going to also help kind of keep my makeup in place as well. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting on my eye makeup. And the first thing I'm going to be using is Smashbox, the Nudie Pick Medium Photo Edit Eyeshadow Trio. And so I'm actually going to be using the Cashew Outside and the Wheat colors in this palette. So the first one I'm going to be using is the Cashew Outside, and so what I'm going to be doing is actually just putting that on the base of my eyelid from corner to corner, just kind of trying to get a good base on my eye. The next one I'm going to be doing is the Wheat one, and I'm actually going to start in the middle of my eye and go outward toward the other corner of my eye, and this is just kind of help kind of blend it in a little bit. I'm also going to be kind of taking that wheat and kind of going in the crease of my eye to kind of give it a little bit more definition and shape for my eye. The next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be using a liquid eyeliner to kind of help give a little bit of definition to my eye and kind of help let that stand out. And so I'll actually be using NYX Professional Makeup Matte Liquid Liner. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just start at the middle of my eye and go outward and do a really thin line. And then while that is drying, I'm actually going to kind of fill in my eyebrows. And so I'll actually be kind of taking a brown eyeliner pencil, and it's Clinique's Quick Liner for Eyes Intense, and it's in 03 Intense Chocolate. And so this is actually eyeliner, but I'm actually going to be using my brows just because it kind of works the same. And so what I'm really going to be doing is I'm going to be taking the liner, and I'm actually going to be making kind of like feather-like strokes and just kind of almost trying to mimic how my eyebrows actually are. Like I have short little eyebrow hairs, and so I'm actually just going to be doing feather-like strokes, and I'm going to do it at the edge of my eyebrow and go to the other edge as well. And I'm going to also be kind of just doing the same shape as my eyebrow. I don't really want to shape my eyebrows than the natural way that they look. And so once I do that, I'm going to take the buffer on the other end and just kind of buff it out. Just kind of trying to make sure I don't have any, build up or any harsh lines in my eyebrows, And so I'm going to be kind of doing the same thing, kind of do the feather-like strokes and then kind of just rub it all in at the end. And so once I do that, I'm actually going to go back to my eyeliner now that it is dry and actually use Clinique's Quick Liner for Eyes Intense in the shade 01 Intense Black. And I'm actually just going to kind of fill it in because I do want it to be just a tad thicker and a little bit more closer to the inside of my eye. So I'm actually just going to kind of color it in with the shape of my eye. And then once I do that, I'm going to do it to the other eye, try to make sure they're symmetrical, try to make sure they look the same. I'm actually going to wait to put on my mascara just because I know I'm going to be actually putting some concealer on, and I kind of don't want to just like rub in any of that mascara into that concealer. So I'm actually going to wait till the end when I do my lips to do my mascara, but that will be coming. So the next thing I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to put the foundation on, and I actually use a powder foundation because my face is kind of oily. And so actually 04 Matte Honey Super Powder Double Face Makeup by Clinique. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take a powder blurring brush, and I'm actually just going to kind of get a little bit in the center, and I'm just going to do like light circular motions because you don't want to put it all in one place, and you also just don't want to have harsh lines and streaks on your face. So the best thing I feel like you can do with powder foundation is just kind of do circles and just kind of try to blend it in as best as you can. I personally like to get my neck and under my chin as well, just because sometimes my neck doesn't tan as well as my face. And so I kind of like to just kind of blend it down towards like my collarbone a little bit. And so you'll actually see me kind of do that as well. And so once I do that, I'm actually going to then put on some concealer. And so I actually use Clinique acne solutions because I do get acne because I'm in the sun a lot, so I sweat a lot and I get a lot of, I guess, dirt on my face maybe. So the good thing about this concealer actually is it has salicylic acid in it, and so while it's on those acne bumps that you're trying to conceal, it's also maybe trying to bring them down a little bit and tone them down. So I use Clinique Acne Solutions Clear and Concealer, and it's in shade 2. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Pat McGrath Labs concealer brush, and I'm actually just going to put a little bit, and I say this, a little bit goes a long way, at least with this concealer. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to almost try to make like a triangle, but it doesn't really go well like I want it to. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to try to cover up some of those dark under eye circles I have. And so I'm going to try to get right there where it kind of sinks in a little bit. And I'm also going to try to get under my eye, which I had mentioned earlier. That's why I didn't put the mascara on. And I'm going to try to, blend it in as best as I can. And I'm going to do that for the other eye as well, just to try to make sure it's symmetrical, try to almost tone down those dark circles. And then I'm going to start doing spot concealing with a concealer as well. And I'm just going to kind of dop it on those blemishes, and I'm going to kind of try to, dab at them and kind of rub around the outside of them just to try to help conceal it as best as I can. And then once I do that, I'm going to actually go and use Pat McGrath Labs light blurring under eye powder. And so I'm just going to take a little bit of that and rub it underneath my eye and try to, kind of blur that out a little bit better. I will also say this is just a pro tip that I've learned. When you're using concealer, you definitely want to try to make sure your face is moisturized really well, and maybe in particular in those areas where you're going to put concealer on it, just because you don't want it to look patchy. I think that's a big issue a lot of people run into, is that they end up having kind of patchiness or just like dry spots, and it's very noticeable. And the thing to do to prevent that is to make sure that area is moisturized. I know some people use oils, just make sure that that area is well moisturized. Maybe even almost spot treat that by putting moisture on it, let it dry, and then put more on it. But I did that during my skincare prep, so I'm good on that one. So once I'm done with that, I'm actually going to contouring my face a little bit. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use the contour kit by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I use the light to medium, and I'm actually going to be using 2 of those colors. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be taking that dark brown color and kind of right underneath where my cheekbones are. And so kind of where like they compress a little bit into my face, I'm actually just going to kind of put a line of contour there. And I'm going to be blending it out, trying to make sure it, once again looks natural. And then I'm also going to put some around my jawbone, like just because Tifa actually has a very narrow face in comparison to me, like almost like a heart shape. And so I kind of want to mimic that shape and try to give the illusion that I have a much narrower face. So I'm actually going to put a little bit on my jawline, and I'm actually going to put some under my chin as well. And I also, once again, just because my neck doesn't tan as well as my face, I'm going to actually blend it down to my neck as well. And that way it'll just kind of keep it the same color that it should. And so once I do that, I am also going to take a smaller brush and actually try to narrow my nose as well. And so I'm actually just going to go kind of at the top of my nose and go down to the tip of it. I'm actually going to kind of go on the rounded edge of my nose. And once I do that, I'm just going to kind of blend it in once again, just trying to make sure it looks natural. And once again, my nose I want to narrow just to kind of mimic how Tifa Lockhart's shape of her nose looks. So once I do that, I will actually be highlighting on my face as well. And so what I'm going to be doing there is I'm actually going to put some highlighter on right above my cheekbones right there, right underneath my eye, and just kind of try to get that area to look lighter, because that's actually where like light naturally will hit on your face. So once you do that, I'm going to do it on the other side as well. I'm also going to put some on the center of my chin as well, because once again, that's where light hits as well. Kind of blend it in once again. And then I'm also going to put it on that T-zone area right where my forehead is, right between my eyebrows and a little bit above that. And so I'm actually just going to kind of blend that in as well. And then once I do that, I'm also going to now put on Clinique's Chubby Stick Cheek Color Balm. And so I'm actually just going to, and I'm using the color 03 Roly Poly Rosy. And I'm actually just going to be kind of putting that once again on the apples of my cheeks, just kind of where I naturally would have, a little bit of red in my cheeks. And so I'm going to put a little bit on there, and then I'm actually going to take a really kind of large pointed powder brush, and I'm actually just going to blend it in. And I just kind of want to, blend it right there on the apple of my cheek, maybe a little bit outward, maybe a little tad downward, and just kind of, blend that in as best as I can. Then once I do that, I'm actually just going to blend in the rest of my face, make sure I did a good job blending, get my, the areas where I contoured, where my foundation and, those contour areas, kind of meet, make sure that that is kind of blended in really well. And then once I do that, I'm actually going to put mascara on my eyes, and so on my eyelashes. And so I use Clinique High Impact Mascara in 01 Black. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to kind of coat the top of my eyelashes by kind of like going down on them, and just kind of do that on both eyes. And then once I do that, I'm going to actually take it and take the wand and actually kind of push up on it and kind of do a zigzag motion, just so I can make sure I get mascara on all those lashes. And then I'm just going to kind of go from the outside to the inside and do that for both eyes, and then come back and try to do a downward motion on the bottom of my eyelashes as well. And in case you can't get enough mascara on there, which you will see me do, I'm also going to kind of go across them from like in a horizontal motion, just so that mascara will pick up on the eyelashes, and then just go back and do the downward motion again to kind of help, spread that out on the eyelashes evenly. And so once I do that, I'm going to kind of finish my makeup with my lips, and I'm actually using Clinique Super Balm Moisturizing Gloss, and I did a kind of lighter color just because Tifa also has a really light color, and I used 10 Grapefruit, shade 10 Grapefruit. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of put it on my lips and make sure I get, where the bow of my lips are, maybe even go a little further down on the bottom of my lips, so that way it looks a lot more fuller. And once I do that, I'm finished, and that's all there is to it. And so I really hope that you guys got something out of this tutorial, and I hope you really liked it. And please let me know if you guys have any questions or concerns, and I will address them in the comments. Thanks, you guys.